All right, we are finally live. Welcome everybody to today's Maverix Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. It's John Paul Argentino here with the lovely Alesha Drew. We're joined with Stephanie Park and Chris Brindamore as well.
Hey everybody.
This little black thing over here, that's our cat Atreyu. She's going to be joining in with us today as well too. She might step in every once in a while to liven things up a little bit. So today what we're going to be covering is kicking out the feeling of being overwhelmed, and we're going to kick that out of our mindset once and for all. And that's pretty much, we're going to have a little bit of an open discussion today about it. You know, we could have went through and made tons of notes about this. It's one of those things that has been in our lives, pretty much in every entrepreneur's lives, every now and again, over and over and over again. Oh, it says you.
Yeah,
I think we actually might be not live here. So we're just going to do a quick little
We're
check
live,
real
we just
fast.
can't see our video camera, so you can still keep talking.
Okay, so we are still live, so we are good. That's the weirdest thing in the world, to not being able to see yourself on like a monitor.
There you go.
There we go. So finally, there we go. We're back. As you can tell, you don't have to be a technical wizard to figure this stuff out. Now,
Okay.
being overwhelmed as an entrepreneur, it happens to all of us. And this feeling sometimes can oftentimes lead into other feelings as well. Sometimes when people get overwhelmed, they get frustrated, and they look at that as the catalyst for why they want to quit on something. Either quit on the product or quit on themselves. A lot of times anger will come out as well as a secondary emotion. I kind of liken this to starting like a new job or a career path. You get into doing something, and at first it seems exciting. It seems like you got a whole lot to do. You don't know what all you got to do, but it's there. You got so much stuff to do. And then you're pretty much kind of firing on all cylinders, but you don't really have any way to gauge if you're doing well, if you're not doing well. And a lot of times that right there is where the frustration comes from as far as feeling overwhelmed, is you don't know where you stand. And sometimes in the online world, or just marketing in general, a lot of times we base our results off of money, like monetary successes. And that's not necessarily always the best case, at least in my experience, is using the money indicator as far as a success indicator. And I know Alesha and I, we had a big conversation about this the other day. I was actually doing a long drive on the way home, and we were bouncing some ideas off each other about how it's a lot of times it's the things that you cannot see that are actually the things that truly make it successful. Those are the things that you can't see. Those are the things you can't measure that really make an impact. As an entrepreneur, sometimes, you know, and especially in marketing, we're constantly trying to analyze a stat. We're trying to figure something out. We're trying to test and tweak a little bit more, and we lose focus on what's actually really important. And I'm going to do myself a favor right now because my phone is vibrating ridiculously in my pocket. So I'm just going to do what everybody should do as a distraction, or whenever you're distracted, is take your phone and go like that. Power it. That's
Yeah.
the easiest thing to do.
Key to success is ridding all the distractions.
Yeah, a lot of the times it's just stuff that we're already in. As well, hey, how's it going? We're joined here with the Gary McLaughlin, who's
Hey!
probably freezing somewhere.
Yes, I am.
Probably frozen somewhere. Yep,
Hey guys.
Good, hey!
absolutely. Yeah, so today, Gary, we're just going to be bouncing off a couple ideas off each other and just having an open discussion about kicking out the feeling of being overwhelmed. And oftentimes it's something that can plague people almost to the point of quitting on themselves and pretty much shutting the door down on any of their creativeness that they do have. I know that we were just talking about a lot of times with success, it's the things you can't measure. As far as a stat, it's actually what you're doing behind the scenes. It's the customer service, the whole customer experience that they have. It's a lot of it's just going through the same routine overall, no matter what happens, finding a routine, sticking with it, and then that's where the consistency is where the real proof is in the pudding for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where finding those routines gets that overwhelmed feeling out. You know, I was just throwing out there. It's kind of like starting a new job or a new career path. You've got so much that you think you need to be doing. A lot of times you don't know what you need to be doing, and you don't know where you stand. You don't know how to measure yourself against what you're either achieving. And sometimes, at least myself, I was very goal heavy. I would set these real big goals, and I would achieve them, but then I'd set even bigger ones, and a lot of times I was striving just to hit these goals, and I was very narrow-minded that I wasn't living a life. My life was just becoming so just centralized on these goals that my family, my friends, everything else around me, I was almost like the how would I call it, the self-help asshole in a way. Like I was on my own little path of like self-righteousness and self-help that I just turned into, oh, if it wasn't aligned with that, I was totally detoured off into my own way of thinking. And I don't mean to say it, that's what I was. I was pretty much the self-help jerk on it for a while. I got into this whole new little realm, and I'm like, oh, I found out what the secret is, and I found out what I need in my life, and I've researched a few Tony Robbins events and everything, and now I'm the man. I can't be stopped. And then the rest of my life was just over there, and I'm over here. And really, I wasn't aligned with everything. And then that's where the frustration comes in, because you think like, well, I'm doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. I'm doing all this great self-help stuff. What's going on? Like, why are things not working for me? Why is things not aligning for me? And that's kind of where I'll kind of let everybody else kind of jump in there. I threw about half a dozen different little topics in there all at once at the beginning.
I was gonna say, guys, you look fabulous tonight, both of you.
Thanks.
G'day, mate, to my Australian friend. I've got my friend here with you.
Oh yes, there wouldn't be a hangout without him, huh?
Oh yes, I forgot about Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Yeah. I love when you leave comments on my blog because you always say mate.
Yes.
I do notice that, so I like that.
Well, it's the Aussie. Like I lived on a ski hill for about 3 years, so I was a ski bum for as a younger man, and I had a lot of Aussie friends. So it just is one of those things. A lot of my friends are Australian as well too, so it's always good to see one of my Aussie friends out there as well too.
Yeah.
JP, I'm growing the beard just like you.
Yeah. Well, I had one for a while, and I just dipped it. I got rid of it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It reminded me of a story because I saw your topic today, and it reminded me of a story because I train people, privately for martial arts and in personal training as well too, and a lot of people reach those plateaus and they get feeling overwhelmed, or they want to be able to get something going as quickly as they can. They want to be able to lose the weight. They want to be able to feel great almost instantly. We want that instant gratification, and I think it's something that we have to, I guess, work on every day. I learn from being a parent every day. I have to learn how to be more patient with my kids. I have to learn how to be patient with people as well too, because you want to be able to get everything that you want done as quickly as you can, and you can't possibly do it all all in one shot. And I think it's focusing down on the key core things of what you can do consistently that helps. And it's a lot of the things that I focus on with clients as well too, is that consistency is all about what's going to get you that outcome. I grew up on a farm. We learned that you plant seeds every spring, and you start to harvest in the summer as well too. It's these things that are going to work over time that are going to pave the way. I think it's the things that we do as entrepreneurs each and every day that we can actually plant seeds. Even the stuff that might be frustrating us and we're feeling overwhelmed, if we're consistently doing something each and every day, it's going to help. And that's my 2 cents.
No, it's true. What you said as far as reaping your harvest. If you don't plant the seed, you're never going to reap the harvest. You're not going to have anything to sow. You're not going to have any seeds that your harvest is just going to be nothing. And sometimes as well too is, like you said, growing up on a farm, I myself did as well. And there was often times where we would plant seeds, and sometimes we just have a bad crop. I mean, there's also times where we knew going into that that's part of the deal. So what would we do? We have multiple crops. We'd have multiple different fields of where we would plant things at. And I'm not saying go out there and do different businesses or different things and have a million different types of streams of income and things like that as an entrepreneur. What I'm saying is that you could have one different lead source coming in for one business. You have another one over here coming in. You have something else feed you from over here. And if this one over here didn't quite work out, that's cool. I got these other ones over here I can focus in on. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. We're just going to start restructuring some things and refocusing our efforts in different areas. And the one thing that's never going to, in order to keep getting that harvest, though, is you're never going to stop planting those seeds. You're always going to keep planting them. And that's the one thing that's, if you don't do that, it's gone. That's the only thing that's constant out of it. So you're 100% spot on the money with that.
Yeah. And I want to bring up a really good point here. Often within our community here, we have brand new people getting on board. And more often than not, they will come to us and say, I'm so overwhelmed with all of this stuff that's being thrown at me right now. And I think one of the most important things to remember is that it's okay to actually feel overwhelmed. And it's something that we will usually feel when we start something new in particular. If you want to think back to a time that you started something brand new and think to where you are with that thing now, how is the difference in that? If we threw you all the audios, all the videos, all the trainings at you all in one shot and said, do this, no one would ever get started doing anything because that would just be completely unrealistic and you would just get ridiculously overwhelmed. So we often tell people to, just take things one step at a time. It's what you do with that feeling of overwhelmment. That's even a word, overwhelmment. And it's what you do with that feeling. If you're going to sit there and think to yourself, I am so overwhelmed, if you keep thinking that, you're probably not going to do anything. And you're probably going to quit.
Yeah.
It's what you do with that feeling. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and that's okay. I'm not alone. Everybody feels that way when they first get started doing something, and you have all of the tools and all of the support within our community anyway to get started. Everything is there. You just have to start taking things step by step, and as Gary mentioned, consistently over time, and you will see things to start to fall into place. And it's with anything. If you think of any, sporting activity or any event, anything that you started to participate in that you knew nothing about, think about where you ended up with that activity. You probably felt hugely overwhelmed when you first got started, and then you got into it, and as the weeks progressed, if you were consistent with whatever that was, you would see over time that things would start to click and things would start to fall into place. So I really want to make that a point today. It's what you actually do with that feeling that really, really matters. Because if you don't do anything with it, you're probably just going to curl up in a ball and just quit.
Yeah.
I think some people, the one thing, and you guys are great leaders as well too, by the way. There's one thing that I think everybody's got to really remember when they're tackling something like this is why. Why are you doing it? And I think when you dig deep down inside and understand that emotional connection that sort of associates you with trying to take on a task, it's tough. It's tough. Nobody's going to lie to you. Like, this stuff is tough. I did it when my kids were both under 2, and it was ridiculously tough. I had to cut out things that I didn't want to cut out. I had to divorce my Xbox. I loved it. But you know what? I found that time where it led me down a path, and when you understand that you can only eat so much when you sit down and eat a meal. It's the same thing with this, is that you have to take, I think, it in bite-sized chunks and remember why you're doing it. And when you put that why back into it, we're talking about a why that's going to make you cry, something that's going to dig you deep down in the cockles of your heart and pull on it and say, you know what, it's time to get up. It's time to, brush myself off and get back on there. I know as a beginner when I first started out, I looked at some audios, I looked at some videos, and my attention span was about 10 minutes long.
Oh man, I put myself to sleep on some stuff before. I'd wake up and was like, oh, I guess that wasn't for me, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, that stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that I call it the suck factor. You know, as the more time and effort you put in, like, originally in any new sport or new activity or anything that we're trying to do, we got to be okay with kind of sucking at it a little bit. It's going to happen. You like, if I were to go out there and try to learn to play basketball to take on, you know, LeBron James, like, of course I'm just going to get schooled. I'm just going to get mopped up. The dude's going to mop the floor with me. But if I go out and I put 2 to 3 years of practicing into it, my chances are going to be a heck of a lot better. It doesn't matter about how tall I am or anything, but what matters is all the mechanics of it that I put into it behind it that people didn't see. And at that point, I won't suck so bad. You know, my suck factor will decrease as my time went on. And it's, you know, the classic thing, even like babies learning how to walk or toddlers. They're going to teeter, they're going to toddle, they're going to fall down, they're going to weeble wobble everything, but they're going to keep getting up because they want to move so bad. Their feeling of moving in that direction over there is so important to them. They'll fall down 1,000 times and before they finally get up, and then bam, they're off. They're almost running. You know, that's not walking. It's kind of like a running down a hill type of run type thing. You know, like their bodies, their momentum's just carrying them, and that's really what you find happen in almost any industry is with if your enthusiasm, if you bring some enthusiasm to the table with it, and you really want to do it, and everything else, you'll be damned if anything else is going to stand in your way, because that why is right there in front of you, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that suck factor is going to go right out the window, and you're going to say, look, I don't care how goofy I look, I don't care how stupid someone else may think that I am, or whatever, because they're the ones that aren't taking those shots. So they're not the ones that are in front of the camera, they're not the ones that are on the hangouts, they're not the ones that are taking the action. Those are the ones that are sitting aside saying, I'm not doing anything, but I have a voice in what you should or shouldn't be doing. And that always cracks me up, too, that whole dynamic right there, as far as someone who's not doing any action, someone who's taking no risk, but they can turn around and say as much slanderous things as they want to do to really drag you down. That always cracks me up, because I just look at that stuff and I just laugh. I'm like, well, you go on there, Wayne Gretzky. You know, are you the one with the stick in your hand? No, you're not. You're the one over there.
Yeah,
you know?
It reminds me of a quote I heard from Tracy Walker, and she said, do not take advice from anyone that you're not willing to switch places with. When I heard that, I was like, bam, that is so true. You know, and it's those same people that will turn around when they see your success, and they'll be like, wow, you're so lucky, you know? It's the same people that will do that.
Yeah,
so,
and it's almost like what you said, too, like the one that you said, you know, make yourself a person that's worthy of being believed in, as far as when you go to, eventually people are going to get to the point where there's other people that they have to mentor. And you have to be worthy of being a mentor to somebody else, whether it's a parent to a child. You have to remind yourself of the position you're actually in, and sometimes the gravity of your actions and the way that you, I guess, talk to your audience or talk to the person that you're mentoring, and the way that you respond to certain actions. You know, if things seem chaotic in your life and you just spaz out of control and you're just like a rage ball and you don't know what to do, well, that's not attractive to anybody. You know, you can't go pick up a chick that way. You can't talk to a child that way. You're just going to be a total magnet in the opposite direction of negativity that no one's going to want to be around it. No one's going to want to switch places with you and say, you know what, I want what that guy has, or I want what that lady has in her life, you know. And you have to just realize the position of what you're in, because you're going to get there eventually. If you're just starting out within this space or in any new industry, you're going to get there. The only thing that separates everybody is time and action. That's the only thing that separates people from anything else, is time and action.
Yeah, and just knowing that everything is hard the first time we do something. It's not like some people may pick things up a little bit easier than other people. It might take someone a few weeks and it might take someone else a few years. But, you know, if it wasn't hard, everybody would be doing it. And everybody's not doing it. Everybody is not successful because some people out there just are not willing to put in what it takes to get that success.
I think a lot of people they have fear as well too, and fear is just false expectation appearing real. It's something that most of us, it demotivates us because we're afraid of what people may think of us. We're afraid of what people may say about us. We're afraid of what people might perceive us as. And here's the truth, is that nobody can control that. It's one of the things that I was absolutely petrified of, because I came from a corporate life. I didn't want to appear in a way that, just appears what I guess my own vision was in my head. And when you finally realize that you can just sort of get out of your own way, I think this is something that a lot of people need to understand, is that when you get out of your own way and realize that people aren't thinking about you as much as they are, and if they do talk about you, well, that's too bad. They can get out of your life as well too, just as easy, because they're usually jealous. And jealousy is something that's just a wasted emotion, because their inner self is actually projecting something outward to them. And you just don't have any room for that. And what JP was saying, what Alesha is saying as well too, is when you're always continually on your path, getting better each and every day, it's going to help you step outside of that fear, help you to step outside of that boundary, to be able to take new steps, be able to start running with something, because it's one of the biggest things that I've ever coached anybody on is their fear of trying, their fear of doing that. And most people, what they want to do is they would just want to quit. But I don't think that you're most people. Anybody that's watching this right now, you're not most people. You're that exception that said, you know what, screw mediocrity. Let's just, go for it. We know that we're not alone. I think that's one of the other things, is that people are afraid that they're alone. And you know what, I'll be honest, I felt that as well too. Sometimes late at night, I'm going, what the heck am I doing? How are we going to be able to do this? And then you reach out into things like this, and you realize that you're not alone. You're not the only one. And it's going to be okay. The only people that don't win are the ones that quit.
Yeah, you at least got to be in the game to at least play it. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're looking for a lottery ticket. You still got to buy your damn ticket. You at least got to pick some numbers, or at least have the computer pick it for you. At least there's some stuff being chosen for you there. That's still a decision you made.
And just on that, I actually heard a statistic the other day about the lottery that blew my mind. Apparently, $65 billion is spent on lottery tickets in the U.S. per year. $65 billion is what Americans are spending on lottery tickets, where there's a 1,000,001 chance of you ever winning. That's what typical society is doing right now. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, so you can be one of the 65 billion. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are your odds there? But
I just thought that was a very interesting stat.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that many.
Yeah, it's mind blowing when you think about it.
Well, you see that all the time too. You see people lining up at the lottery and just sitting there waiting for their numbers. They're replaying. I want to replay. And you're like, how much do you think you've invested in that? One of those questions where when your friends are like, well, how much money did you put into your business before you started making any results? Well, listen, to me it was like as much as it takes, because if I know it's going to work, it doesn't really matter. Like it's the same thing with the lottery. Well, how much money over the last 25 years have you put into a lottery ticket and not won? Now, we probably all know friends that have like those books, and they keep records of, well, you know what, I'm up this week, I'm down that week as well too. That's the things that people sort of don't understand, is that they have money to be able to do things. They got to properly allocate it.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go back earlier. You were talking about like people's fear, and I know that my biggest fear wasn't about taking the shot at something or doing it. It wasn't about that. My biggest fear, when I sat down and thought about it, is when we all close our eyes and we have an image of who we are now, who we are in the past, and then who we want to be in the future. The reason why we got into this was to actually change who we are, or something about our life at some point to change for the future. And for me, my biggest fear was the success of it, and it was staying that person, that like I guess that great of a person, like allowing greatness to come out, and always being at that level then, and saying, you know what, that's the level I have to be at. I will then be a changed person, and there's no going back. What scared me was actually more the success. It wasn't the actual staying where things are at right now. It was actually maintaining that level of saying, you know what, I know I have to change. I know great things are going to come from it. How can I maintain it? And I knew that it was hard work. You know, it was, and I knew that it was, most people are just afraid of putting in the hard work. You know, there's stages with every business, and there's stages of growth with everything. And it's no secret that you have to put work in to get good results out the other end. It doesn't matter what it is. Athletes still put work in and to get all the rewards and the accolades they get. They still put the work in. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Trust me, they would not be on the team. They would not be in the cage if they're a fighter. They would not be at that level if it wasn't for the hard work they put in behind the scenes. No one just rocks up and says, today I'm Mike Tyson, the champion of the world. Well, he still had to put training into it to do that. You know, even the President of the United States, one of the most loved and hated men of all times right now, like, you either love him or you hate him. It's the way it's always going to be. But even that person always put work in before to get there. There was always stuff put in to get there. And what happens is people, I guess almost in any industry, they'll come up to you and they'll ask you, oh, you know, well, what exactly do I have to do to make this work? Or what do I got to do to do it? And then we can tell somebody, and then they'll take 12 different steps all the way around circumventing it and try to get something else out of it, whenever all it was is they were afraid to do the damn work. You got to put some work in. And that's really where people's fear is. They just want instantaneous gratification, and that's why people will buy course after course after course after course. They'll spend countless, like thousands of dollars on doing the same thing, but they won't take any action with what they're learning.
Or they get told from their mentor what to do, and they do everything but.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing. They'll just take the steps all the way around it.
Which we call an ask hole.
Yes.
I just discovered the other day.
Lawrence's ask hole. Yeah.
Courtesy of Lawrence Tam, I reposted it on my Facebook wall. I was like, this is magnificent, an ask hole.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But let's bring out Stephanie down there, and so she can share some of her thoughts.
Oh, wow, you guys are bringing such a great points today. Good job. We're on fire, aren't we? Well, see, here's the thing. When I first began, I was a stay-at-home mom, but before I was a stay-at-home mom, I was in the education background. And every 6 months or so, we are critiqued. And every year or so, we are critiqued. And depending on how the students perform, right, we are rated by school. The real estate prices go up and down depending on the ranking of the school. And the administration kind of gets down on us hard, right? So all those chain of, what do you call that? The chain of demand, right? Well, my greatest fear that I had was, am I up to the par? Am I going to become the person whom, you know, people are going to trust me, whom people are going to look up to me? You know, what am I supposed to do? And then when I first joined in, here are all these leaders making 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, you know, income, and they're going on vacation, and they have shiny things, they have cars, they have yachts, they have parties, and I had nothing to show for it, right? So I shriveled up. And then I said, okay. And then I just started being, you know, doing things that are small. I never took big risk, and I am one of those people who takes big risk, and I always was that person, that doubter in my head, and that's where a lot of my fears, excuse me, my son is in the background, the fears are coming from. My kids are taking nap in my room right now. So So I just wanted to say that when I first began, that was my greatest fear, and that was something, that was the Goliath that I had to overcome. And you know, one thing shifted in the middle of my journey. It's where in the beginning I was like running away from, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want people to think of me this way, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. But when I always like elevated, when I always thought about what I don't want, those are the things that happen. And so I had to change that. And I said, okay, what do I want? Okay, I want to spend time with my kids. I want to do, I want to put away a couple hours in a day, and I'm not gonna get off my desk until this is done and my 2 hours are up. If I have to, read an audio book or do some kind of testing, I'm not gonna get up until it's done. Or either the timer goes off or until the work is done. And then when I continue in that momentum, I was able to create success. And here's another thing. My success didn't start with money. My success didn't start with people coming to me and asking for help. My success was like, oh, I posted a blog today and it's not showing error. Oh, I did the hyperlink. Oh my goodness, I caught a Facebook, I did something on Facebook, okay? Those are little successes that in the beginning I forgot to celebrate, right? But those celebrations, if you don't celebrate it at the moment, it's gone, and you can't get it back. But when you take that split second and say, "Oh, Stephanie, you did a good job," lift up your shoulders, take your chin up. I'm proud of you. Like if no one ever, even if there's nobody else who's gonna say that, you say it to yourself. I am so proud of you. Here's a hug from me. Right? When you do that, then those emotions, they add up. And when they add up, guess what? You start having courage. And say, oh, I got this, right? And then once you have that courage, you have that faith. You have that faith and courage, and when you marry those together, and somebody new comes in and says, oh, I don't know what to do. And then you can finally say, you know what? I know where you've been. I know the feeling. I've been there myself. But guess what? This is what I did. This is work for me. And these are the successes I can show for you. And to be honest, when the new people come in, they want to hear those things. They're not about, oh, can you show me how to make $500? They already know. There's no way that $500 is going to fall up from the sky. The ones who are willing to work with you, the ones who are truly serious about what you're doing, they're going to say, how did you do that? Can you show me? Do you believe in me? Okay. If you believe in me, then I believe in myself. Let's connect together and let's go. Okay? It's not about, oh, I'm going to show you how to make $36 in less than an hour. A, you do this. B, you do this. C, you do this. Oh, if you don't do it, you're not motivated enough. You're not coachable. Okay, if you come with that kind of mindset, if you're going out there with that kind of tutoring or teaching, I'm sorry, you're giving yourself a disgrace. You're not edifying yourself, and at the same time, you're not edifying the people around you. Yeah. And success cannot come out from that. Okay.
I think too that when you were talking about the small wins earlier, about celebrating the small wins, mm-hmm. There was did everybody here watch the Super Bowl this year, at least parts of it? Well, at least some of the ads? Okay. There was the guy, the cold cut guy, who was standing in line. They gave him his number. They call his number. He's like, "Whoa! You're gonna give me some cold cuts." Slams his door. Call my number. That's right. I'm giving me some cold cuts. That's the type of celebration that people need to be doing on everything, and that's kind of what we'll do here. Like if Alesha's actually behind the scenes, she actually does a whole lot. She loves doing capture pages and all the creativeness and stuff, and she likes doing all the. It surprised me because she never used to like doing all the techie stuff. She just hated it, and now she loves it. But now when she's done with something, I'll come home and she's celebrating like the cold cut guy. She's just like, yeah, like that was me that did that, You know, and that's the way you got to get with stuff. Is you got to be the cold cut guy. You know, like I want to see someone do that at the DMV. Like, woo, I'm gonna get my license today. You know, slamming it down. I think that's to see someone pull that at the DMV. You know, you're waiting in line, going, you know, woo, I'm gonna get my car inspected. Yeah, gonna give me some insurance. No more SR22 bond for me. Like,
biggest patent interrupt ever at the DMV.
The security guard will probably be taking the dude out in handcuffs. You know. But no, like you said, you got to celebrate the small wins, because without it, it's just you will still feel like you didn't accomplish something. That sense of accomplishment, you know, it has to be there. And you also said something earlier too about being like our own self-critic, you know, self-criticism and self-talk. For myself, no one will really judge us more than we will judge ourselves ever. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. We are our own worst enemies. We're our own worst critics. We always will be. And we have I guess that self-talk in our head and that self-doubt that can creep in there. And for me, I dealt with that really, really bad at first. Like, that was me all the way going, you know, okay, well, I know I could do this. And I wanted everything to be happening all at once. Like, I knew the big picture, and I kind of knew how everything I wanted to kind of fit together, but I couldn't do it all myself. And I wanted to do it all myself. And that was my challenge, was saying, okay, I have to realize I can't do all this myself without a team of people around me. And I had to get my team in place right away. You know, it was okay for me to delegate stuff over to Alesha and say, okay, now I know that you know how to do that. That's great. You know, you're good at doing that. That's awesome. Let's keep bouncing and keep rolling with it. That way, it was something else that I could take off my plate and just trust that it was getting done. You know, and whether it was getting done to perfection, I'm okay. I was okay with that. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, I was a perfectionist at the beginning with my business. Everything had to be so and so. It was like, oh man, I was probably horrible to work with at the beginning. I was probably just a jerk. When I look back to it, I probably was just terrible. But you know, we got through it, and for me, I had to just realize that. I guess what I'm looking for here is I had to be on purpose instead of on random. I had to be proactive instead of reactive. I knew the course that I needed to take. I saw my big picture. I saw where I wanted to go. And then I had to just say, oh, I'm okay with where I'm at for now, though. I had to just be okay with where I'm at. Now, I don't mean settle. I don't mean settle for anything. You don't ever have to settle. But you have to just be okay with the process that you know you have to go through. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, you know, a mentor will not really take you by the hand, but a good mentor will turn around and tell you, look, you're about to go through some really tough shit, and it's going to be hard. But I promise you, you go through this tough stuff, at the end of it, you're going to be a changed person, you're going to be happier, you're going to have all these experiences behind you, and you're going to look back on it and be like, yeah, you know, I was the cold cut guy, I just did that, you know, and that's what you're going to do. You know, you're going to get through it and be able to, you know, turn around and just, you know, hey, I just stomped that in the face. You know, we just did that together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the self-doubt goes right out the window. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you just, you know, you're okay with everything in your life and nothing needs to change. Nothing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that be focused, but do things on purpose with intent behind it. You know, have some measurable intent behind it. And say, you know, every time you sit down to do something, if you're not focused on what the outcome is that you want to do, you're not ready. You shouldn't be sitting down to even do anything. Mm-hmm. If you're not, if that means you're driving to work and you're listening to an audio, have your audios lined up the night before. Like, have everything, you know, download it from iTunes, get it onto your device, whatever it is. Get your stuff ready so that you can maximize all your time. If you need to, whether it's personal development or whether it's I'm going to sit down and I'm actually going to watch this training. And then afterwards, I've got a 2-hour block of window to implement the training that I just learned. Mm-hmm. You know, and have that stuff scheduled into your time so that you're doing stuff on purpose. Now you're not just saying, well, I'll just look at this and then I'll see what happens. Because then you're just going to try to look at everything, and you're going to have the whole menu open going, oh, I want some of this, a little bit of that. Oh, screw it, just give me what you get, Mr. Waiter. Just bring whatever you want to bring over. Just bring the whole bottle. Yeah, we'll take that too. Because you know that you ain't going to get crap done.
Yeah, and then you feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, at the end of it, you get your check, and you're like, oh, I just screwed that all up.
Yeah. And just on what you said of how we're talking about the small wins, that's what I love about our community. For those of you that are watching right now that aren't already in, you can hit the link below at any time, and you'll discover for yourself. You know, we'll post something on Facebook once you get plugged into all of our communities and our groups, and no matter what it is, any tiny small piece of success, you will see a lot of other people within the community liking and commenting and saying, wow, that's awesome, congrats. You know, people will post some of their results. They got this amount of leads today. They got their first sale today. And our community just rises up, and we all celebrate that for that person. And that's what is so awesome about what we do here. It's not, there's no jealousy, there's no, oh, that person did this, there's no secrecy. It's all about celebrating together. So you don't only have to celebrate on the computer on your own. If you post that and you share that with other people, that can turn into a big celebration, a big success for you. And you hold on to that feeling, and that's what's going to move you forward. And you know, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because that's what I really love about the people inside our community. You know, it's one of the biggest things I think I love more than anything. And you don't find that everywhere. You know, you really don't. It's really rare, unfortunately. So, you know, and you know, what you were saying as well with distractions, especially with the internet. It's such a big, noisy place, and you can so easily get distracted, especially when you're first getting started, and that will make you overwhelmed. Because you'll be on Facebook, you'll be looking at this thing over there, or there's that video over there, and you know, the kids are crying in the background or whatever, and you won't get anything done. So you really have to discipline yourself and focus on that few hours a day, like what you mentioned, and knuckle down and just do whatever it is that you know you need to be doing without all the distractions. And it's difficult, I'll admit. I mean, I'm a multitasker, and it did not serve me well at all when I started
Did you just say that
within this
women
business.
cannot multitask? Is that what you just said?
No, well, apparently they say that men can't multitask.
Well, from
So
what you
that's
just
what they
said-
say. No, me. No, I can.
Oh.
You know that I am, but when I started in this industry, it didn't serve me well at all. Because I thought I could just be over here and be over there and do that and do that. But then I wasn't getting anything done.
So what you're saying is you could not multitask.
No, not in this business anyway. Maybe other things, but all of a sudden...
They caught on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it.
Well,
yeah.
you know, all of a sudden I realized that, okay, this is not going to serve me well at all. I have to concentrate on one thing at the one time and get that thing done before I move on to the next thing. Because I just felt overwhelmed because I was trying to do 10 things at once.
Yeah, if you got 3 computer screens open and 45 tabs open, and you're running a balance sheet over here, you got spreadsheets over here, my to-do list, and I've got my accountability sheet over here that hasn't been fed out because I'm not accountable in any which way, shape, or form. I've got Facebook open with a feed going, I've got Twitter over here, and I've got CNN on my TV in the background giving me all kinds of negative crap. Yeah. Power down, all of them.
You're just going to get overwhelmed and nothing will get done at the end of the day and you won't be able to celebrate anything.
Yeah.
So.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Chris, let's bring you out.
Chris was multitasking the whole time. No.
Hey guys.
What's up, Chris?
Hey.
Thanks for having me on. You guys are awesome leaders, and you always challenge us with a new topic every week.
Oh, it's hard to come up with some of these topics. But
I'm sure it is. But thank you for having me on every week. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
One of the biggest distractors is probably this little thing.
Yeah.
Your smartphone, like an electronic leash. People can't go anywhere without it. Every time it beeps or makes a noise or whatever, you got to pick it up and find out what it's chirping about. So one of the things, you know, being in this business, like you said, when you're getting started, there's so many things we're trying to learn and do. And I think one of the first things, and I don't think I did this, but I learned later on that you need to take time and figure out why you're really doing this and find out what daily actions do you need to take that are going to get the results that you need to get in your business. And that's something that I think David Wood has been re-preaching that method over and over again lately about, you know, 2 sales a day, and what do you need to do that? What actions am I taking? Is this action that I'm taking going to result in the results that I'm looking for? Or am I wasting time? So once you know where you're headed and the results you need to get, all you got to do is ask yourself, is this action that I'm taking going to get the end result that I'm looking for? So it kind of helps prioritize what you need to do. I was going to recommend a book to people out there that are struggling with it. It's called Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's a really, really great book that helps you. You really need to get a little bit organized, and especially in this business, people doing this part-time, and you got little pockets of time you're working, and you really need to maximize that time and be working on the most important things. There's a lot of things we could be doing in this business, and sometimes, like you said, you get overwhelmed. But you really need to figure out what's the 3 top things that you need to do today in order to move forward in your business. And maybe it's taking a step back and just figuring out what your game plan is going forward. So maybe sometimes you need to just stop and hit that reset button and start over again because you're going in the wrong direction, or you're chopping wood, but you're hitting it in all different places and not in the spot you need to hit it at. So it's all a matter of prioritizing what you're doing and knowing what you need to work on next is what it comes down to. Had an interesting story, so kind of relates to this topic. We were just my wife and I went to watch our son. He's in college and he plays volleyball, and he happened to have a game on a Saturday, which was good, so we could go up and see him play. But he just I'm sure we've all been through this in college. Sometimes you get overwhelmed, and he was just overwhelmed with all the projects he was doing in school, and he's playing volleyball. He was falling behind with his academics because of all the time he had to commit to volleyball, and he was really thinking about not doing volleyball anymore because it was affecting his academics. And even though he loved it, it really wasn't going in the direction. He really wasn't going to get him any income. It wasn't going to help him with his learning, at least at school, of what he needed to learn in order to graduate from college. But it's something he did enjoy doing, so he was kind of overwhelmed. He was kind of mixed emotions over what he wanted to do, things he enjoyed, but what he really needed to be working on was the academics. Paying a lot of money to be at school to learn, paying that money to play volleyball doesn't make any sense. So we're all faced with these decisions in our lives as we go through our lives, and you need to really focus on the thing that's going to get you the end result that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point right there. Is what you brought up, is that just being mindful of what you want out of it. What's your expectation going into it. That's what you're going to get out of it, and it's really, that's a huge sign of maturity right there, just to even say, I'm not getting. It's not as fulfilling to me that my academics are suffering. That's a big person right there to be able to step up and realize that. For being in college and everything, that's huge. I mean, that's a big person right there to even identify that. So that's kudos to your son as well. That's really good. And it kind of, now that you brought it up, it kind of goes kind of a little bit against what I'm about to say, though, which I don't mean to do it, but I'm going to have to. But you got to have fun with your business, with the self-criticism and the self-talk. Like I was talking earlier about how we got so success-oriented on one vision and one goal that I lost track of my personal time, my family, the things around me. I was so driven in one direction that I always said that my business sure was going this way, but personally everything else was kind of going this way, and I was that self-help butthole. So I was that self-help jerk, and I didn't want to be that way. And I was, what I realized was I wasn't having fun. I wasn't having fun in my personal life. I wasn't. Things were just kind of just there. It was like, well, am I really improving everything by doing this? And that tied into my why. I had to turn around and really sit down and go, okay, I know why I'm doing this. Why in the world then would I be acting, or my actions would clearly dictate that I'm doing something different, because I'm not actually enjoying the fruits of my labor with my family, with my loved ones, with my friends. I'm actually alienating myself from that way. And I looked back at it and I was like, I just got to bring the fun part back out of it. I got to bring the me back into it and say, that's the only thing that was common in all of it was me. Wherever I was at, what's the old saying? Wherever you're going, you can always look back and say, hey, there you are.
Yeah, something like that.
It's some kind of metaphysical weird crap like that. But, wherever you're going, there you are, Wherever you want to go, hey, there you are. Yeah, that kind of thing. It was like, well, you're still there. you have to just be present in it. You know, you have to have fun with it. And I think my biggest success was when I closed my eyes and I realized, you know, who I wanted to be and how I was changing was I still wanted to be fun. I still wanted to have that fun in my life, because if at least for me, my creativity got killed whenever I'm not having fun. Mm-hmm. And at least in my, you know, whenever we were doing like a retail sales team and things like that, if we weren't having fun, you know, at least, yeah, it's going to be work, but, you know, anytime we could make our work fun, it's not even like you're working. You're just, you know, it's just going through the motions and you're getting stuff done, but your creativity is still there. Your creativeness is still flowing. You know, I was then able to turn around and write creative content and really let myself think openly without fear of judgment or anything, because I was having fun with it. Criticism went out the door. My self-talk was not there anymore. I was just openly able to say, regardless of where the idea came from me or somebody else or anything, I was able to put my own spin on things and just openly communicate what my message was then. But if I wasn't having fun with it, I just killed it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying that your son's never going to have fun, Chris. I'm just saying that, you know, for us, you know, as we're going through our learning phase, we still have to turn around and actually schedule our fun time with it, you know, because you start questioning what's the point. So it might not be volleyball, it just might be a different activity that's not taking up as much time, you know, and hopefully it's college, so hopefully it's not going to be drinking, you know, but,
yeah,
because that just leads into naked volleyball and craziness. And Gary's like, yeah. Yeah.
What's wrong with that again?
Yeah. It's
that was a patent interrupt.
Yeah, it's the sand in the weird places. If it's beach volleyball, then you're really in a problem. Yeah. Yeah, it's just sand in weird spots. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And I know too that, you know, a lot of this, it's not as overwhelming when you think about it. Like when we talk about feeling overwhelmed, there was a guy that made this app one time, and it was about anxiety. It was an app about your anxiety, and he had this app created that you could basically put what you're having anxiety about into the app, and then it would email you. You would put your email address in there, and it would email you from your anxiety. So whatever you were anxious about, it would basically just take the piss out of your anxiety, what you're having all this crap about in your head, and it would say like, oh. It would say from your anxiety, and it would be like, why haven't you done blah 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 today, or why have you not gotten your new car today, or why are you still making only $50,000 a year, and it would just be like totally taking the crap out of your own anxiety. So it was kind of hilarious. He got so overwhelmed with this app that he had to shut his servers down because half of America was actually getting their anxiety emailing them. And it blew up his servers. So when you think about kind of like how ridiculous, we're all in that. We're all human. It's going to happen. We're going to have it. It's something we're having anxiety about. You know, every world leaders have anxiety over stuff. It's just different things. You know, it's not like they don't have relationship problems, or it's not like they don't have certain financial issues they might be trying to still work out in certain areas. It's just still part of life. Nothing really changes on it. It's just our perception that does.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, you know, we see the glory, but we often don't see the story. And we assume that everything in their life was just handed to them and was perfect. And, you know, they never felt overwhelmed, and they never failed, and they never had challenges. And it's just clearly, it's just not true. It's not really true in anybody's case. And, you know, like what you were saying, there's really two types of people in the world, and there's the people that focus on what they want, and then there's the people that focus on what they don't want. And either way, you're going to move towards that. If you keep focusing on what you don't want, you're going to move towards that. And if you focus on what you do want, you're going to move towards that. I think Stephanie touched on this a little bit as well. You know, and for example, if you have a poverty mindset where you're telling yourself all the time, I'm broke, your subconscious mind only hears the word broke. So what are you going to keep getting? You're going to keep getting broke because you keep thinking it, and you may even be saying it out loud. and you might even be telling other people. So you're going to keep getting that because that's the energy you're putting out to the world. And whether you believe in, the law of attraction and what happens with the mind and the subconscious mind is irrelevant because it's happening whether you like it or not. It's working for or against you. So if you are some of you out there might be in a really awful financial situation right now. Some of you out there might be broke. Some of you out there might have a lot of things going on. But you've still decided to make a decision and hit the button below. But when you come in, you're going to rid yourself of that mindset. If you come in and you're thinking, oh my God, I just spent my last dollar on this business and it has to work because I'm so broke and this is going on and that's going on, that's all you're going to get because that's all you're focusing on. You need to switch that around and focus on what you do want, which comes back to your why it is you're doing what you're doing. You've really got to get to the core of that, focus on that, and that's going to drive you to move forward, and that's going to ultimately bring you the results that you want over time. I think that's a really important thing.
It is. It is. I mean, like I was there when I first got into this space. I was there. I put some money into it, and I quickly took action right off the bat. I was at a certain level, at a certain income level, and I knew what my budget was. I knew what I had to spend, and I actually said, okay, this is what I can spend, and I actually tiered it up quickly to where I knew that I could get into another level, and I could, I knew that there was a certain product that I needed for growth in my business, and I sucked it up and I did what it took. I mean, I remember when I had my first sale. The first sale I had online. It was 1:44 in the morning. It was a Friday night, and well, it was Saturday morning technically because it was Friday night, Saturday morning. Alesha, you had just gotten home, and I was so exhausted because I was building a bunch of capture pages and setting up an email autoresponder, and I was doing like all this technical stuff at the beginning when I first got in, and I felt really overwhelmed. And I was laying down in between, like our condo in Las Vegas at the time. It had this hallway, and we were it was a 2-story building, and we were on the bottom level. And in Vegas, there's like hardly any basements, so it was just a slab. So there I am, laying down on the carpet, which is basically over top of concrete, and about ready to beat my head off the ground. And all of a sudden, I remember my email went off, and I had made some Craigslist ads, and I was actually really good at getting a lot of leads back then. I was getting like 30 leads a day from every Craigslist ad, and I would post like 7 of them. So I was getting almost 100 leads a day way back then. And I was really lucky with it. Now, granted, they weren't the best quality leads, but at least I was still getting leads, and I knew I could generate traffic. So I was like, cool, I'm in the right direction. But I was about ready to bounce my head off the ground with that day because I was just like, what's going on? And I had just clicked submit, like to post the ad live, and it was like 3 minutes later. And all of a sudden, I got this, congratulations, you've just made $25. And I jumped up and I was like, holy crap. I mean, I didn't say holy crap, it's the other one, but I was just like, holy, this works. And that feeling right there was so overwhelming. I mean, I was a smile from ear to ear. I looked over at you and I was like, holy crap. And then about 3 minutes later, there was another email that said, congratulations, you just made $100. Now, that was my experience. That was what I went through, and I had gone through about 3 to 4 weeks earlier from when I first bought the product, and I didn't really do much with it. But that first big day that I went through, and I just rocked everything, and I kind of got it, and I was like, I see how it all fits together, and I just did what I was told to do. I just did it, and I did the work, and the work resulted in me getting a sale from it. Now, I busted my butt. And now some people out there, you might not bust your butt. You might go out there and buy a product and then feel all happy-go-lucky, like you just changed your life, and then not do anything with it. 90% of people are going to do that too, by the way. They're going to buy a product, and they're going to go from product to product to product and keep buying it, and get this little gratification like they just bought their winning lottery ticket, and that's going to be the solution to their life. Well, it wasn't a lottery ticket. You had to do the work behind it. You had to do what the product said to do. And I did it. Some people won't do that. So what I'm saying by that is, look, we're not average. Average sucks, and we don't like to settle for average. In the FTC or FC, someone says that we have to give an income disclosure when we talk about money like this. So you can go to, which one is it? You know it better than I do.
Yeah, the link's actually at the bottom of this page. But
down there.
You can also go to income.maverixlifestyles.com as well. Check out the average earnings.
Yep. There you go. So it's down below the page. There's a clickable link down there. But what we're saying is average sucks, and we like to work, and we like to work with people that work hard as well, because and we believe that a rising tide raises all ships. You've heard it 1,000 times before. But collectively, it's kind of like the moonshot. The whole country back then, whenever we first went to go land on the moon, if you believe that we went to the moon, I know that that's a whole other Google Hangout right there. But I believe that we went to the moon because there's satellites, and I have a really good internet connection because of stuff like that. So I believe we went to the moon. But as a nation, our president came out and said, look, we're going to go to the moon. And we'll be damned, we're going to get there. We didn't know how we were going to get there. We were just going to do it. And that's what we said. We pulled all our resources together, and we got there. You know, we shot monkeys into space, and then we shot humans into space, and we did it. You know, what I'm saying, though, is that collectively, as a group, you're more powerful than just by yourself. And we're a group of people that collectively raise everybody up. You know, you're not by yourself in this. You have people. You've got leaders like Chris and Gary and Stephanie. You've got people that are behind you that are actually going to, yes, show you the way. They're not going to go and do all the work for you, but they're going to point you in the right direction. They're going to show you the tools that you need in order to actually start getting results in your business and in your life. And that's the reason why we do this. It is for results. It is for the change, you know. But you can watch 1 million of any type of hangout. You can watch 1 million trainings and webinars, and you can listen to 1,000 podcasts. But that doesn't do anything unless you click a button and you get started. Because you actually have to make a decision to do something with what you're actually seeing in front of you. You have to make a decision to run with people. And the only thing that separated me from anybody else was I saw a good opportunity at the correct time with people that I believed in front of me. And that's the 3 things that I needed to get started. And all I did was I clicked the button below a page, just like the page that you're on right now, and I got started. I didn't ask any questions. I just went in there and I started doing what it told me to do. That's really all that I did, and I started seeing huge results. Now that's what I saw, because I actually took action.
Yeah. It's all about taking the action, you know. If you learn, like what you said, if you're on a zillion hangouts and you learn all this cool stuff, what good is that if you don't actually implement it and take action on it? You can know all that you want, but it's not going to do anything for you if you don't actually serve the world with your value and what you've learned.
You'd be better off starting a cat grooming business. You know how hard it is to groom a cat?
That requires some skill.
Start a mobile cat bathing business.
And a suit of armor, mind you,
as
well. Just on that, as she jumps up behind us. So let's grab some final thoughts before we close out here. Stephanie, you want to share your final thoughts with us?
Okay, my final thoughts.
You have to do this.
First of all, your critics don't matter. Second of all, remember your why. And remember the important people are looking at you. They're looking at you. For example, I just had my son out. He's 5 years old, and he's over there eating dinner with his sister. They're looking at me. And it's not mainly depending on the lessons I tell him. It's my actions that counts, and my actions and my emotions and the things I do at a daily basis, that's where what he learns. And to me, that's my why, and that's important. And that outweighs my critics in my head, and that gets me going. Okay? Yep. So lock arms with us, and let's go.
Yeah, what do you think? Awesome.
Yeah, I mean that is why. I mean, this is a business too, that an industry that you can share with your family. You can teach certain principles to even children. You know, when you can break your business down to the level that a 5-year-old can understand it, then you know that you're onto the right path. And I can't think of a better way to actually spend your time. And the cool part about what I like about this whole space, this whole space as a whole, is that when I learn something, I have a skill set that no one can ever take away from me now. It doesn't matter what business I go into in the future. It doesn't matter if I were to go into car sales. It doesn't matter if I were to go into, well, other than being a doctor. But it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I could go and learn how to sell a TV on Amazon. You know, I could turn around and it doesn't matter. You could put me anywhere in the world with an internet connection, and most likely within 2 to 3 days, if not a couple of hours, I could probably set something up that would actually start being actually income producing for me. And that's a skill set that no one can take it away from you. I mean, the whole you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Well, that's totally true. But at least I know how to drink. That's just bad how it just came out. But you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Gary, have you got any final thoughts for us before we close out?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You know, it is an awesome point as well. Stephanie, your son is absolutely adorable as well, too. And, you know, it's great to meet such awesome people out here. I see your comments, and I try and get on these things when I can, but Sundays are usually one of those black holes. I have Taekwondo during the day and training, and my kids just kill me when I get home. So, but you know what? I was listening to everything as well too, and I enjoyed what Chris had to say as well too. You know, because he touched on some good points as well. Was that it really comes down to, I think a lot of us believe whether we really are our own people that will rob our own beliefs. And I'm here to tell you, for one, from doing this, I've been full-time at home, making a full-time income from home for the last 6 years. I stepped away from a corporate job. It was scary as hell. It was scary as hell, but I knew that it was going to work before it started working. And I think it's something that everybody here needs to know, is that you can do it. You can do it regardless of whatever situation that you're in, you can do it. It is something that anybody can do. They just got to put their mind to it. You got to sort of quiet the voices of your mind, get around good people like JP, Alesha, and this crew right here, Stephanie and Chris. Get around good people. Surround yourself with those. Make a core base of people that you can associate with regularly. Have somebody that you can work with as an accountability partner. I work with somebody for the last few years. I work with a close group of people that I talk to regularly, and focus on that. And when you look at your inbox, start unsubscribing from a lot of the garbage that's going on in there.
Oh, yeah.
Pay attention to only a couple emails, a couple of email addresses. Make sure that you're trimming that stuff down. You don't need to know half of that stuff. Get on maybe one or two live hangouts a week. That's it, tops. And what you do is you're going to take notes. You're going to take notes, and you're going to break those notes down into 3 blog posts. And you're going to blog about it. Because you're implementing something that is taught in the higher products that you need to look at. It's a stopgap law and some things that you need to look at, because you can learn something, implement it, and teach it all at the same time simultaneously. And that's what blogs are for. Like, that's how you can build wealth around the internet. It's one of the best ways of doing it. It's how I've built all of my models. My different blogs that I have all done this to build in that way. And you should never stop learning. Even when you think you got it, you know it all, you're never going to stop learning. Because when you stop, guess what? The rest of it stops. So, and I'll never stop learning each and every day. Just like I'm a martial artist. I may be a black belt, but there's still 9 levels of black belt. I'm the 2nd degree, but there's 9 levels of black belt. This is like gray hairs in the organization. You're always going to have skills that you need to develop. And it's going to be beyond, some of the things that you think you know right now. But focus on the basic things like JP said. Build a list. Get some training. Figure out what it is that you are comfortable with knowing. Build a list and some of the things that you want to learn some stuff for. Get on hangouts with experts that know in that. Follow their stuff. And learn something. And then write about it. That's it. build your list, and don't worry about the people that are doing it. You're doing it the right way. This is the right way of doing it, is building a list, getting people on there, and doing it the easy way. Because there's, truthfully, millions of ways to make money. It just comes down to a question of how much time and effort you want to put in that. And don't be an idiot. Everything takes money to start. So everything, you know, we got to understand that, is that nobody starts a franchise without a down payment. Nobody starts anything. You got to be able to put some scratch in the game, get in there, and focus on activities that are going to help you make an impact. That's it, period. Because, you know, nothing else really matters. Because if you're doing it for what we said, you know, what they said before as well too, is that you've got a deep emotional connection to it. You're going to do no matter what. You know, I read a book. It was, I forget what it is now. 3 Feet from Gold.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, an amazing book, and you can read about it on your own. I'm sure, you know, that it's out there. But it's a powerful story of your success is within your fingertips. You know, it's within you. Never quit. If you're frustrated or whatever, you're overwhelmed, and you're trying to quiet the voices of your mind, step away. Do something that's going to help you get off of that. Go, you know,
Play volleyball.
Yeah, go play volleyball naked with your spouse or, you know, someone you love, and then come back and actually, you know, get back to it. When you look at it at a fresh set of eyes, I'll tell you, it's something else. When I started building web pages and stuff like that a few years ago, I was completely going, how can anybody do this? You got to realize that the small steps, everything, every day, we witness it all the time when you open up your eyes. Cut out the things that you don't need. Most of us have something that we do not need right now in our life that we can cut out. And when we're talking material things, addictions, whatever it is, you want to make a change, you got to make a change from the inside for it to come on the outside. Because you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. I know these guys believe in you as well too. So, and that's it. That's all I for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Gary, because, I mean, we're the same way. You know, we believe that everybody's success is within their fingertips. It is within their grasp. You have to reach out, and you have to, you know, claim your space. You know, you got to go out there. No one's going to turn and say, oh, here's, this is everything that you were entitled for in life. Here you go, have it. But you still got to reach out and take it from somebody. I could turn around right now and say, here's everything you've ever wanted in life. It's right here in my hand. You just reach out and take it. 90 people won't just reach out and take it because they don't believe it. Because they got to believe before they reach out to even accept it. You know, and that, I believe that Gary was 100% right, you know. And you said something earlier too, Gary, that a lot of people might not have actually caught on to this, but what you said earlier at the beginning, you said that you left the corporate job, and before you even started this, you knew that it was going to work. You were certain that it was going to work. And I think that that's the key right there. There was no him-hawing around about it. You knew, you'll be damned that it's not working. You knew that your family was riding on it. You knew that putting food in your kids' mouth was riding on it. You knew. You were certain without a shadow of a doubt that everything you were about to do was going to take off. It was just a matter of, I have to do this until. Mm-hmm. And you did it. There was no questions of, oh, I'm going to give this 30 days and see how this turns out. You know, it was, you put the work in, and you kept working at it, and you kept working at it until you got the results that you were satisfied with. And then you continue to tweak it from there. And that's, you know, you're still tweaking it and everything. And I think it's, a lot of people just might not have heard that at the beginning, but that's a key factor right there. You know, you have to be certain that the decision that you're going to make is the decision that's best for you, and it's the one that's actually going to carry you forward, that you can walk behind and keep going. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. I know that at least where Alesha and I are going, you know, it's something where when we first said it, we were kind of scared about it. We're like, damn, that's actually a big, scary thing to say. You know, with, like, income-wise, that what we wanted out of it, we're like, that's actually pretty ballsy to turn around and say something like that, but we knew that it was achievable. When we turned around to say that we wanted to make $250,000 within 250 days, we were certain about it. We didn't care what anybody else said. That was what we wanted out of it. That's just what we wanted. We knew what path we were on to go get, because we, you know, we also knew that people had paved the way before us. And if other people had done it, there's no difference between what those people know and what we know.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing that was different was the amount of action that they took and that we didn't. And
Yeah.
we knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you said, Gary, was just so spot on. You know, just
Yeah.
you were certain that it was going to work. You knew what the decision you made was the best. And I can't say how important that is for people to get on that.
Yeah.
I think belief is a big thing because a lot of people see it before they believe it,
Yep.
and you got to really learn to believe it before you see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true, and you can't come into this saying, I'm just going to try this, and give yourself a time frame like what you said, 30
I'm doing
days.
this. There's no trying this.
You know, as we say, yeah, try is a presupposition of failure. You've already told yourself that you're going to quit, and you're not going to make it work, so you may as well not even begin to start off with. So we really do alleviate those type of words out of our vocabulary, and the word try is all over the place. We all say it, and when you become aware of the word and what it actually means, and you realize what it's doing to your subconscious mind, you'll start to, every time I go to say it, which I don't very much anymore, I catch myself, and I'll reframe it, and I'll rephrase what I was about to say. And because I do that, it has an impact. And it's all about that belief. You can't come into this thinking, I'm just going to try this for 30 days. Well, what happens in 30 days? You just go back to what you were doing before and nothing changes? I mean, and then in 10 years, you're still where you are now? I mean, it's ludicrous when you think of it that way. But that's what a lot of people do. So, yeah, it definitely boils down to belief, and it all starts in your mind. So, yeah. Chris, you got any final thoughts?
After all that, after what Gary, Stephanie, and you and JP just said, or John Paul, I don't know if there's much I can add to that. I think maybe we change the name of the hangout to Naked Volleyball. We'll probably get more viewers.
Yes.
But that being said, I think if you've hung on this long, we appreciate you watching us every week, or maybe this is your first time. We appreciate you hanging on this long. So really, there's only anything left to do. Just click that button below and get started. Everybody on here, I don't know if I cleared this with all of you, but I'm going to throw it out here anyways. I'm sure you'll agree with me after I say this. Anybody who joins one of us today, we've all offered a free 20-minute coaching session for anybody who jumps on today as a little thank you for watching us tonight. And if you're already on our team, right below that button, there's a special discount for All In. If you're serious about making money, you need those products. You're going to need the training that you're going to get from all those by getting All In. And one last thing before I turn it back over to you guys. For those of you watching this, tomorrow night we have a special call. You want to call that number tomorrow night, 9 p.m. We're going to have a top 200 earner. I haven't heard who it's going to be yet, but it's always great. It's our Empower Hour tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Just call that number and listen in. You're going to be learning from a top earner. They're going to share with you their story, the struggles they went through, and what they did to break through. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's all I got. Thank you, Alesha, John Paul, Stephanie, Gary. It's been great hanging with you guys.
It's always fun. Yep, it's always fun. It's always good. You know, and like what Chris said, you know, if you've already made it this far, you know, we are thankful that you've, you know, lasted this long here with us. You know, we've got Chris. Chris has just been phenomenal with the content he's been bringing with us every week. You know, he's always got a very mature spin on things sometimes. It kind of slows me down, and I like it because I just get to reflect a little bit. Same thing with Stephanie as well. Stephanie is like our Zen master here. She's able to kind of slow things down as well. But Mr. Gary, you know, I just needed to say thank you as well because, you know, what we learned back in Orlando as well, you know, we got to spend some time together with Gary as well and really opened our eyes up to some different things as well. There were some techniques that, you know, Gary showed us that, you know, we're very appreciative of. You know, anybody that's fortunate enough to, you know, be on Gary's team or as well, you know, even us, you know, we're constantly learning from other people and, you know, there's always nuggets that we take away and, you know, I'm always looking forward to tipping another Corona with you, brother. Always good times. But you know, self-doubt and feeling overwhelmed is something that's going to happen to all of us. It's going to continue happening. It's just how we respond to it. You know, this is a topic that really consumed me a lot as far as just overwhelmed and pressure and how I dealt with things. And I don't want to say that it was, you know, I had to mature as a person, but I had to really just go through. You just got to go through it, and you just got to learn that, you know, what are you going to do with it? And like everybody said, is you got to really lock onto your why, and your why's got to be something big enough that makes you cry. You know, for me, I finally got to go back and see my daughter. It was her 10th birthday. I just got to fly back across the country with her to be there on her 10th birthday, and it was a huge part that was just missing from me. I hadn't got to see her in a couple of years, and you know, when the hardest day of my life was actually walking back away and turning her back over to her mom and knowing that I had to actually get on a plane and fly away, and it was very difficult at first. And then, I mean, I sat in the car and I just bawled it out. You know, I went around the corner and I just parked the car and just cried it out. And I had myself a man cry. You know, I got my man cry on. And, you know, if it has to do with my kids, you know, or my daughter at all, it tears me up. You know, I think about anything like that. And what scares the living crap out of me is that if I don't do this for my family and for her and for Alesha and for everybody together, if we don't do this, we'll have failed our family members. You know, we'll have failed not ourselves, but we'll have failed the people that we're entrusted to make their lives better. And for me, I know that I made the right decision. You know, looking back over a year, almost 2 years ago now, I know that without a shadow of a doubt, I made the right decision. I don't have any doubts without it because, like I said, the things that we learned together as well, and the things that we learned on that call, the 209-255-1040. I think I got it right.
Yeah.
So if you call that number tomorrow night as well, 209-255-1040. There you go. And I'm going to say it one more time, infomercial style, 209-255-1040. You got to say it 3 times for people to remember. Call that in tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I know that we're... Yeah.
Other way around. 6 p.m. Pacific. 9
Yeah,
p.m.
6
Eastern.
p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. East. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there. You call the number. You'll get a hold of something. You know, and you just be on the call. But more importantly was, like Gary said, he was certain that he made the right decision. Click the button below. If you know anybody here, we'll offer you a 20-minute coaching call. Normally, a lot of times 20 minutes is enough for us just to pretty much meet and greet you, and then. But most of the times those calls go a little bit longer, and we're okay with that too. So without a shadow of a doubt, get a hold of anybody here that shows you, you know, this link to this hangout. Ask them for more information, but more importantly, just take action. Click the button below, get started. If you're already in as well, there's a discount button below to get all in. You want to click that button, sign into your back office, and go ahead and take advantage of the discounts that are actually offered in there, because that would have saved us about $2,500 when we first got in, if not more, when you think about everything that we purchased. But there's so many add-ons and bonuses that are thrown in there right now that, you know, like Gary said, don't be an idiot and think you don't have to spend some money. You got to. You know, thanks for saying that one too, Gary. That was great. You know, don't be an idiot. You have to spend some money. You have to. You know, look. You know, we value our time and we respect our time as well, and we make our time work for us. And that's what you need to learn how to do as well, is make your time work for you. You know, so with that being said, you know, we like to thank everybody for coming out, and we will see you guys again next week.